Hi, lovely to have all of you. Thank you for joining today. And my name is Priscilla Caren. Great. Hi, Azara. I'm doing great, thank you. Okay, so I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Priscilla Caren, as I said before, and I'm an art therapy practitioner. I actually started my career, my creative journey as an interior designer a very long time ago. And eventually I started learning about art and art education. And then what I did was I worked in a Montessori with the young children, teaching them art education for about 5 years. And I opened my own art studio and my art sessions for children, art education sessions in 2019. And so basically I've been working in my studio for the past 12 years. And yeah, so to just tell you a little bit about ARTRA, and I've also curated the ARTRA, the page, their art therapy sessions. I've curated it since 2016, and I want to just say that it's been amazing working with Azara and her team. They have been so positive, and I think they have fostered a great following in the art community in Sri Lanka. And to me, that's really amazing, because when I started out as an art educationalist, a lot of people didn't even know what that meant here. So I really thank you, ARTRA and Azara, for all you've done. And thank you for having me today doing this live session. Okay, so let's just get on with it. So art as a therapy. Now, art as a therapy is a new kind of, way to express yourself and also deal with things that are going on with you, within yourself. And art is a great way to express those emotions. So it's an alternative therapy like music therapy or drama therapy or dance therapy. And so we're going to explore a little bit of what that means. And today actually what I'm going to tell you about is art for relaxation. So I'm not really going to talk to you too much about the therapy part of it, because actually with any kind of expressive medium, it's not really about your end product. It's about what you feel and how you express yourself, and what you really, the process that you go through when you are expressing yourself, on paper. So art for relaxation. Now, that is something that I like to talk to you about, because a lot of people I know, when you say, would you like to paint? They really get stressed out, because, somewhere down the line, someone has told them that you can't paint, or, you are not able to draw, you're really bad at art, or they have graded them with really low marks. So they always have this preconceived notion that they are no good. So I hope I can change that perspective today, and let you just enjoy, using various mediums and exploring mediums. So yeah, so art for relaxation. So now there are lots of things that's such a big topic, really. So in order to relax with art materials, you should have a bit of confidence, right? So and the other thing is you have to get your hands on the art materials. But now we're so lucky, because there's so much of art materials available for people, and you have to just, you can order it online. You can just go to a shop and get whatever you need to do your painting. So in terms of talking about someone who is, say, for instance, is going through a hard time, maybe a friend of yours, and you want to just let them relax and, create that atmosphere for them and facilitate an art session with them, well, you can probably invite them over, have some coffee, and sit down and, just have the materials available for that person, because somebody who's feeling down is not necessarily going to go out and get the supplies and say, okay, I'm going to paint today. They're very unlikely that they would do that. So if you can be the one to facilitate, an art session, it will be really great. And these are things that you can do at home. During the pandemic, we had a lot of restrictions, but still people were able to use art as a form of therapy for themselves and a form of self-healing. So today we are going to work with charcoal. So I love charcoal because I think it's an awesome medium. It's so raw, and you kind of have to, just get your hands dirty, and, an artist's hands are never clean. We always have paint or something on it. So we are just going to get into it. But I always believe, even though you use, various materials and people have art therapy sessions, but I think it's important to know about the medium that we are using. So, I'm sorry, I can't see all the comments, and if you have any questions, we're going to take a question time later. So I'm just kind of just doing the session for now, right? So to talk a little bit about charcoal. So charcoal was used from prehistoric times. Sorry, I'll just check what... very cool, how fun. Oh, thanks, it's so encouraging, thank you. So charcoal had been used in, cave drawings and things like that. And there are lots of positives of charcoal. You don't need a lot of, stuff. You just need the raw charcoal, and you need a piece of paper, and you can just get down to it, right? The downside of using charcoal is, of course, it sometimes doesn't stick really well onto your surface, right? And it can get all of your hands, but that's what we want today. We want to just get ourselves covered in charcoal. And I hope you have some kind of mediums at home. If you have even a pencil, just grab a pencil and a paper, and we can just do the session. Okay, so let me first tell you a little bit about the medium itself. I think that's really important, as I told you before, because if you don't have an understanding of the medium, then using it, you will be so stressed out, and you need to take away all the stress that goes with using various materials, and that's why I chose, and mediums, that's why I chose charcoal, because it's very simple, right? So I'm going to put my phone on my mount, and I'm just going to show you a few things. Let me just check how I can flip my camera over. Just a minute. Oh, right. Okay, so here it is. I'm just putting this on my mount so that I can just tell you what we are doing. Right. So these are the charcoal sticks. So charcoal comes in different forms, right? So you can actually get the charcoal like this. You make this by actually putting it in a kiln, and you have to burn it. So they use willow to do this, okay? They use willow or vines, grape vines, to make this kind of charcoal. So this basically is very very light, right? And you can so let me just get my rough paper. So this is just an archive paper. You can use an A4 or anything. So this is very light. So what you can do is you can just draw like the outlines of whatever it is you want to, you want to draw, just the outlines, so that you have a kind of basic starting point, right? So that's that. Then you also have different types of compressed charcoal. Okay, so the compressed charcoal comes as hard, medium, and soft. So basically the hard one will leave a very light mark, okay? See, it's really light. And then you have the medium, which is a bit darker. So you can just move it along like this. You can turn it this way. That's a bit dark. And then you get the soft. So the soft is actually really dark, okay? And so you can add all your shadows and your highlights, whatever. I'm just doing a very rough sketch of a girl. So you can just, use it like this and add all the darker parts and stuff like that. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Can you? Okay. Just tell me if you can't, because I actually can check on the messages that are coming through. Right? Okay, great. So that's that. And then you can use it to kind of soften it. Now see what I did. I just used my finger. Actually, with charcoal, you're not supposed to use your finger to blend it in, because our skin has natural oils, right? And it doesn't really work very well, because sometimes you can have like patches. So there are tortillons that you can use. This is a tortillon, but I hope you can see it. So they are blending sticks, or you get the stubs. So it's better to use something like this, or a piece of leather, or whatever you can get your hands on, or even, since we are just doing this as therapy and just as for relaxation, you can just use a tissue like this and blend it in, right? Right. This is just an example of what you can do. And you can do all the details, as I told you. Leave the highlights. You can draw anything that you want, right? It's a very rough sketch, as I said. As I told you, you don't have to conform to anything. It doesn't have to even look like anyone. You can just, now this is just a person, but I'm saying if you want to just draw just an abstract, just scribble all over the place and just say, this is my pain, right? This is my anger. Or you can have a symbol for something that's bothering you, maybe. You can say, okay, this is symbolic for this particular thing that I'm going through. Or, this is what I hate. This is why I'm so angry, right? So you just take out all your aggression and all your frustrations on your paper with the charcoal. And the charcoal is a great medium for that, right? The other thing you can do is you can use your tortillons or your blending sticks to blend. So these are all the materials that you can use, right? If you don't have a tortillon or a blending stick, you can just use, what I do is I just take some butcher's paper and I just roll it up. And if I don't have any paper with me, that's what I do. I just make a little homemade tortillon, and it works just fine. Okay, that's what you can basically do. I generally don't kind of draw much like this, but I find it so therapeutic. And just scribble, just relax, put on some nice music, make yourself a nice drink, and you just go ahead with whatever you're doing, you're creating. I don't know who this is. It doesn't represent anyone or anything like that. It's just a person. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Then what happens is, now if you want to create these fine lines with your charcoal, you can take, now this is just some sandpaper. You can just sharpen your edges, because sometimes the charcoal is really kind of thick, no? So it's difficult to, if you want to have, draw very fine lines. So what I do generally is I don't use this really. I use the edges. Can you see there's a little sharp point over here? I just use the edges if I want to kind of create very fine lines. I do that. Okay, so there are lots of things available in the market. You get the white charcoal, you get the colored one, the red one. So if you want to get all that, it's fine, but you don't have to, right? You don't have to. So you just use whatever. You can see that's the color you get with the red. It's kind of nice, but okay. Then there's another thing you can do. Now you can see there's all this dust. Can you see all the dust? Sometimes you can even use a paintbrush to kind of soften it up. Right? And at the end, generally what you have to do is you have to use a fixative, because otherwise all these pieces are going to keep falling off and getting all over you. So you kind of need to use a kind of fixative. So you can buy this also in any art supplies shop, and yeah, you can use it, but make sure you spray it in a well ventilated place. Okay, right. So that's the first one that we've created. So what I want you to do today, I have to tell you a little bit about the paper also. Can you see how it's getting everywhere? Just a minute. Can you all hear me? And see. Okay, you're able to see this, right? Oh. Just go. Great, because I can't see it on my screen. It looks like everything's gone. Okay, so great. Right. I just want to tell you a little bit about the paper you're going to use. So there are different boards that you can use. Can't see. Yes. Okay, great. Thank you for telling me. So you can't see. Actually, wait, let me see these things. Oh, great. I don't know how that happened. I'm so sorry. So this is what I just scribbled. Right. So it can be, yeah. Right. Let me just put it away. So I just want to tell you a little bit. Look at my fingers. They're just covered with all this black soot. So it's fine. I love it. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the paper or the board you're going to use. So certain boards and papers, they have a tooth. Oh, can you hear me now? Creative calligraphy. Can you see now? Is it all right? Are you able to see and hear? I'm sorry, I don't know. Are you able to? We can only hear you. Can you see and hear now? Are you able to see and hear? Okay, great. If you can't, just because someone sent a message saying they couldn't see or hear, so I hope you can now. Okay, so just to tell you a little bit about the paper you're going to use. Now, for this drawing, I used a very smooth paper. So there's no tooth actually on this paper. It's really, really smooth. Okay, and now there are papers that you can get which have a tooth. So when you use this, the effect that you get is going to be completely different. So here is a recycled board made out of elephant dung. So I love to use this because it has a really nice effect, because this texture on the board really helps with your drawing and things like that. And then I have this also, which is also a recycled board with the invasive plants of Sri Lanka. So I love using boards like that, as I said, because it has a really nice finished product. Okay, so now let's just use this so that you can see, or actually let's just use this one. Okay, this has a really prominent tooth, so we're going to use that. Okay, so today what I would like you to do, maybe after the class, if you don't have anything after this session, if you don't have any materials on you, what I would like you to do is I want you to create a garden. Okay, now I told you about the person. You can draw a person, you can draw yourself, you can draw your pain, you can draw you can draw someone else who's maybe going through a hard time, and but today I want you to actually think about a garden, and this garden is the garden of life. Okay, and in this garden you can think of the garden as your life, and you can have flowers and trees, rocks, living things, and some things can also have a symbolic representation. They don't really have to kind of, the flowers from your childhood maybe, or things